there people, it's another 1000 subscriber battle against Icymario13 this time. I'm using the Lily Pass, which is one of my old passes, which never really was that impressive, but I figured why not try and beat Icymario13 with it. So I lead with Miss Magius, he leads with Swallow, and he U-turns away immediately, which I pretty much expected, because he sends out his Rhyperior now, and I pretty much nailed that prediction and get off the substitute and heal a little bit with leftovers. So Miss Magius goes for Shadow Ball, does pretty decent damage on Rhyperior, and Stone Edge is pretty much guaranteed to break the sub because Miss Magius has crappy defenses and a little bit of leftovers. And he switches out his Rhyperior. I don't think another Shadow Ball would have defeated it, but he switches to Flareon for some reason, who's pretty much gonna get decimated by Shadow Ball. Does about half, but I get the crucial special defense drop, which will allow Miss Magius to kill Flareon next turn. And that's why he's switching it out. Probably expecting another Shadow Ball, because he switches to Swallow. But I predicted that again and go for another substitute. Man, I'm really on a roll here.
Miss Magius restored its health.
So Miss Magius heals more and he uses Brave Bird. And this was pretty much the end of my lucky predicting streak, because I was expecting him to switch out again, or at least use U-turn. And that's the reason why I went for Calm Mind here, because I thought he was going to switch out instead of break the sub. And since Swallow is faster than Miss Magius, I'm pretty much screwed now. So he goes for another Brave Bird, and he takes out Miss Magius. So even though I had some pretty decent predicting at the start, I'm already starting to screw up now. And it only took me like 2.5 minutes. So out comes Donphan, pretty obvious. He's expecting the Ice Shard, and that's why he switches out Swallow. And he brings in Articuno. Thank goodness, I kinda saw that coming and went for a Rock Slide, which does a lot of damage, though if I had Stone Edge or Head Smash, Articuno would have been dead. So that's something to remember for next time. Gonna get Stone Edge on Donphan. And Articuno roosts. That's bad because Rock Slide is weaker now, it won't do as much. Yeah, this really isn't starting to look better for me, especially now when he gets up a Reflect. It's just one catastrophe after the other for me. So another Rock Slide, and Articuno still doesn't die. It reminds me of Itachi's Togekiss. Oh, how horrible that was. And he roosts again. So things are looking pretty bad now. Rock Slide's not going to do anything. And now Donphan's probably gonna get killed in one shot from an Ice Beam. But for some reason my Donphan's bulkier than I thought, and it manages to hang on. And I get off another Rock Slide. And yet it still survives. Bummer. And Donphan also heals a little bit. So yeah, I figured Donphan wasn't gonna be able to do anything, so I just switch out to Kingler, because Kingler can take an Ice Beam, but he roosts, which is really bad. Though if I used Rock Slide again, it wouldn't have done much anyway, and Donphan would have gone killed in the next turn. But he switches out Articuno for some reason. Guess he fears Kingler and brings in Sceptile. And just my luck, Crab Hammer misses. Wouldn't have done that much, but at least it would have been some damage. So I go for Endure, expecting a grass attack. I was right, since he uses Leaf Storm, which pretty much decimates Kingler, except he used Endure. And Sceptile's special attack goes to hell. And my Salac Berry activates, so now Kingler's ready to sweep. He switches out Sceptile because he fears my awesome Kingler now. And he brings in Flareon. And Kingler just goes for Flail, says hell no to that, and destroys Flareon. So Flareon's down and Kingler's still ready to sweep. But at this point we were talking on Skype the entire time, and at this point he said, yeah, that's not gonna work out, I'm gonna destroy your strategy. So I use Endure to see what he's up to, and he has Quick Attack, so Kingler is royally screwed. Just wonderful, because Kingler's pretty much the only powerhouse on this team. So he goes for Quick Attack and Kingler's dead. Didn't switch him out because he's useless without his Salac Berry. So out comes Donphan again. And he once again fears Ice Shard and gets Swallow the hell out of there. And he brings in Rhyperior. And Ice Shard's gonna do a little bit of damage to Rhyperior. And Donphan heals up. And Rhyperior's probably gonna use Aqua Tail or something, but for some reason Donphan is faster and gets a Seed Bomb off that destroys Rhyperior. So I was pretty happy with that, because Rhyperior had a lot of potential to destroy what was left of my team. So Donphan did a pretty good job. And out comes freaking Articuno again. And without Kingler to switch into for taking Ice Beams, I just decide to let Donphan take a bullet, because I don't think he was gonna be that useful anymore. And Articuno is almost full health, which is pretty bad. So I bring in Raikou, because he can probably take an Ice Beam and Thunderbolt will do massive damage. Yeah, it's a good 2-hit KO, and he tries to go for Ice Beam, hoping to get like a critical or freeze axe, but it doesn't do much. Because my Raikou is awesome. And I have no idea why I'm not using it in the Electric Gym. But I go for another Thunderbolt and take out Articuno. And at this point I've pretty much lost all track of the standings. So you're just gonna have to figure that out for yourself. And out comes his Sceptile. And I thought Leaf Storm might have done quite a bit of damage on Raikou, so I switched it out to my Grass Wall, Wormadam! Or Death Fodder Wormadam, whichever way you take it. But he goes for Earthquake for some reason, which does pathetic damage on Wormadam. But of course, hidden power on a Sceptile, it's always fire because everyone uses Pokesav, and hidden power is like the Pokesav trademark. If you have a hidden power with power 70 and a perfect type, it's hacked. So I bring in Swallow, and he switches out to Sceptile. And he brings in Mismagius. Yes, we both had a Swallow and a Mismagius on our teams. So I go for Brave Bird. And it does good damage. Almost knocks it out. If my Swallow had a slightly better attack IV, it would have knocked Mismagius out. But since I don't use Pokesav, the Swallow was like one of my first EV trained Pokemon, and back when I didn't know or care about IVs, so Swallow is pretty much horrible. And I U-turn to kill off the Mismagius, bring in Raikou because Swallow and Raikou are pretty much all I have left. Because all the other ones are dead. And he still has 2 Pokemon as well, I think. He still has Sceptile and Swallow. So out comes Sceptile. Figured he was going to use Earthquake, but he went for Leaf Storm. And Raikou barely holds on. And if my Raikou was Pokesaft, I would have used Hidden Power Ice here, but since my Raikou is legit, it doesn't have Hidden Power, so I have to go with Shadow Ball, which does nothing. So Raikou screwed now. Sceptile goes for Earthquake and Raikou dies. Which is pretty bad. Although if my Swallow is fast, it might be able to take out both of his Pokemon, since if it gets a burn on it, it's absolutely devastating. So I go for a Facade, and luckily it's faster than Sceptile. So apparently Sceptile's not hacked that great if it gets outspeeded by my crappy Swallow. And it takes some burn damage. And now it's the final showdown. It's Swallow versus Swallow. And his is faster. No. And he takes out my Swallow with Return. So I have yet another loss. I'm not doing that good in these 1000 subscriber battles. So I guess I should just stick to gym battles, because I can kick Icymario13's ass in gym battles any day. But anyway, stay tuned for more 1000 subscriber battles.